Hello there Spartans, and welcome back to a new video. Today it's time we talked about Age of Empires, and in particular Age of Empires 4. Those words, Age of Empires, the granddaddy of strategy games for me. I'll never forget 13-year-old me back in 1998. Yes, I know I'm that old. Putting the CD in and loading up this game for the first time on my Intel Pentium home PC with Windows 98 operating system. And literally, I was blown away, ladies and gentlemen. The fond memories of taking in and loving this awesome opening game introduction cinematic. I mean, just look at it. Yes, I know, looking at it now, it's probably a little... or not a little, but quite out of date. But for the time, it was amazing. It was jaw-dropping stuff, guys. I absolutely loved it. I mean, if you're as old as me, then you will know what I'm talking about with this. It was just a great cinematic. So much nostalgia. Also, the little 2D sprites fighting out the epic battles. And not to mention the absolute classic dialogue like these bad boys.
Erectus.
You know, you younger ones out there watching this, I actually feel sorry for you that you weren't able to experience this like us old farts did. It was a true essence of PC gaming at the time. It was this and Settlers 2 for me. Veni Vidi Vici was the title on the game. Settlers 2 Gold Edition. I absolutely loved that game as well as this. They were my two absolute old favourite games. My go-to at the time, really. Honestly, incredible memories. But enough of that. We're not here to talk about my trips down memory lane. We are here to talk about where we are at with the enigma that is Age of Empires 4. The next iteration in the franchise that was announced back in 2017. That's nearly 4 years ago. And what makes the wait for the release of this game even more agonising is that Age of Empires 3... if you forget the HD version, the remastered and the DLCs, first came out in 2005. That's 16 years ago. That's even a year before Medieval 2 was launched. However, there has been a little bit of a breakthrough. Fear not, the end may be in sight. Well, kind of. Last month, Microsoft teased to us a Age of Empires fan preview event for this Saturday, April the 10th, and promises surprising reveals apparently for Age of Empires 4. Exciting stuff. So the event, as I say, will be broadcast this Saturday, April 10th at 9 AM Pacific time, 12 PM Eastern time, 5 PM UK time for us guys here, and then 2 AM the following morning in Australia, Sydney. And it will include news, as I say, surprising reveals of Age of Empires 4, but as well, Age of Empires 2 and 3 definitive editions. So possibly, I'm just thinking out the box here, what else could they announce for those games apart from maybe more DLC content coming? That's all I can imagine. So with this exciting news in mind, if you feel like I did, where I was a little in the dark as to where this game was at, even if it was still in production, honestly. Let's have a recap of what we know so far about Age of Empires 4 so that we're fully prepared for this Saturday's live stream. And oh yeah, be sure to keep an eye out on my channel, as after the reveal I'll be putting together a video to summarise all that was discussed during the event if you did happen to miss it. So keep your eyes open for that. Now, Age of Empires 4 is in development by Relic Entertainment, the creators behind the Company of Heroes series. In particular, the first one for me was exceptional. I mean, really exceptional. I loved the first iteration of that series, so that does give me quite a little bit of promise. And as I've said, other than its existence really, and the intention to publish the game exclusively on Windows 10, Microsoft Studios have revealed almost nothing about the project since it was announced back at Gamescom 2017. So essentially all we've seen really is 2 teaser trailers. I think the best place to start really on this is the kind of release date. Now, we haven't got that officially announced yet. I would surmise that during this preview event on Saturday, it is most likely we will get a confirmation of that. It could be still a possibility that 2021 is a feasible release date for it, but given the circumstances that we have been in for the last 12 months with the pandemic, it could be pushed back to 2022. But yeah, I think we may get a confirmation on that this Saturday. However, Age of Empires did share a sort of year-end update right at the end of 2020. It does give us some hope, as the studio head of World's Edge, Shannon Loftis, has shared this update and said that basically, I don't want to make you jealous, she says, but we are literally playing this game every single day, both in Washington and in Vancouver. So yes, Age of Empires obviously looks like it's still in development and currently in a playable state. However, this doesn't mean that it's close to release, of course. She then went on to explain that RTS development is funny. It takes a while to build the separate systems, i.e. economy, AI, sim, rendering, etc. And then it takes a while for them to kind of come together. But when they do, you suddenly have a game that needs debugging, balancing and polishing. That goes without saying. But the core of the game that you know you're going to ship, and the best part of that, it feels like an Age of Empires game, I believe. So that is promising news, that it is in a playable state of some sort, and that they are testing it quite extensively on a daily basis. Now, it is believed that the Age of Empires 4 campaign will show humanized histories. In an interview with Games Radar, creative director Adam Eisgreen hinted how Relic is evolving the RTS campaign in Age of Empires 4. We're doing something very different in the campaign, he says. I can't talk about it. It's crazy cool, he said. I can say that we'll be bringing history in a fun and exciting way to people. The way we coined it for Age of Empires 4 is humanized histories. So maybe there's an element of, maybe there's a more personal kind of feeling to this game, something that makes you want to connect with the game in some way, even to try and make it an immersive experience in ways that it haven't touched on before. He has said as well that the goal of Age of Empires 4 is to not overcomplicate the new game in an attempt to modernize it. They want to keep it at its core what we know and love about this franchise, because undoubtedly you would have seen it many times before, where a franchise or series that you guys will love and play extensively gets a new iteration, some other game developer comes along, puts their stamp on it, and it loses all its kind of identity. It loses itself in trying to be modernized into trying to be redeveloped for a new audience, and then falls flat on its face. We've seen that so many times in game development, and that's good to hear. They are trying to keep it very much to that feel that we've seen before, even though it is a brand new game. And you wouldn't fault them really for trying to modernize it. As I say, it's been 16 years since we've had Age of Empires 3, so there's going to be some things that they will definitely want to try and tweak and improve upon. I mean, even the Age of Empires definitive editions that we've got do start to, when you play them, show their age a bit now. So there is going to have to be ways they're going to try and improve on things, but yeah, ultimately keep it to what we know in its core. So Adam, in his interview, goes on to say here, generally speaking, the longer a genre exists, the games that are responsible for taking forward tend to make it more complicated, as I just said. With Age of Empires 4, it was important for us to be like, okay, how do we back away from that? We do not want to take on all the complexity that we see in RTS games today, he said. This is a fresh start for us. We want to modernize the series, and that means we're going to do things differently. So in terms of the development cycle for Age of Empires 4, as I say, I think we'll get a release date confirmed to us on Saturday during the event, but don't take that as gospel, because during the obviously last 12 months we've found ourselves in, that could be pushed back. We don't want a game to be rushed and released before its time, and it's not uncommon with how things have been going that penciled release dates that are down on paper can be pushed back. But they have been asked about their progress over the last couple of years, and this was back in 2019, however, but they did say that at that point the game was making good progress, and that Microsoft have been impressed by the capability of the team at Relic developing Age of Empires 4. Apparently Microsoft and Relic are both learning a lot about the Age of Empires community's hopes for the game, thanks to the concurrent development of the definitive edition for Age of Empires 2, and obviously probably Age of Empires 3 as well, which is being developed by a brand new studio dedicated to Age of Empires. Now, one thing for me that I didn't mention at the beginning of the video is that with pretty much any Age of Empires game, particularly the first one, probably the nostalgia glasses being put on for that one, but the music, absolutely fantastic. You've got the soundtrack playing in the background during this video, but yeah, the music was on point. I absolutely loved it. Some really memorable tracks that used to play out as you go into battle. And for Age of Empires 4, it's got the same composer as the Witcher 3 game. I remember some of the music in it in Witcher 3 was pretty engaging. It drew you into the game, it got you immersed into it, and you did really feel it in the gameplay. So that's good to see that this guy's got involved. His name's Mikolaj Stroinski, I think his name. Stroinski. I'm probably butchering the name, but that's who it is, and he will be getting involved with the soundtrack for this game. So what could Relic bring to the table? You know, how will this style of games that they tend to make be imprinted onto Age of Empires 4? It's totally open to interpretation at the moment, though the anticipation is there that they may mix it between Relic's sort of in-depth style of strategy with resource balancing and long tech trees of Age of Empires. But again, we don't know much else at the moment, just from what we know of their previous games. Hopefully, as I say, April 10th will give us a lot more about that. However, interesting to note as well here, Age of Empires 4 will be Relic's first game produced for a publisher other than Sega. Speculating it's likely that Microsoft paid Sega for the right to work with Relic on this, so that could be interesting. That may have a impact on how the game looks and how it plays out. So as well as the release date, the way that the game will play, how it will look and feel, what else is eluded in mystery at the moment is the fact of when is Age of Empires set? What period of history are we going to get in this game? The only brief kind of indication of this is when Microsoft released some kind of gameplay, a minute teaser gameplay trailer back in November 2019 at XO19, and in that trailer we did get a glimpse of what it could be, because as I say, we've only had that trailer and then the one that was previously released announcing it in 2017. In that trailer it was a little different because it kind of showed you previous games that were in the series, sort of Native Americans, British Redcoats, Roman Legionnaires, Japanese Samurai and other genres. So I don't think it's going to expand that length of time period. Even a new game in 2021 won't go that far in its expanse in history and cover it all in one game, but I think that was more to show what Age of Empires has covered in the past, and that was what it was going with in that announcement trailer that we saw. However, with that minute-long trailer that we did see at the end of 2019, even though it was a minute long, it did kind of give us an idea of what the game's period is going to be, and it looks to kind of be medieval. I've mentioned it before, seem to have a resurgence in medieval gaming over the next coming few months and years. You know, a lot of games are kind of going and harping back to that time period. We saw a medieval town nestled in a beautifully rendered forest. It looked like an English fort that had a keep in the middle there, and then it was surrounded by fortifications. And then it looked like these were like Mongolian troops that were attacking the fortress with siege weaponry like trebuchets, and they were clashing obviously in the open field just outside of the castle walls. And it looks like the mainstays of the series are still alive and well in Age of Empires 4. What we know and love about the series, different building types are all there, you know, homes, keeps, churches, farms, they were all present in that trailer. But what seems most exciting is how alive it all feels. It does look beautifully rendered on the screen. Building an orderly and gorgeous city has always been a favourite part of the Age of Empires series for me. And all the fighting that was just there was basically to protect all the hard work that went into getting those walls right and getting everything built the way you wanted it. You wanted to make sure that that stayed alive and there was nothing, no enemy out there that was going to destroy it in any way, shape or form. And to be honest with you, if this gameplay trailer is what we are going to get, the series has never looked as good as it does now. The colours were vivid and bright, the animations of the units sort of breathed life into what that English town was there. Guards patrolling the circulated walls, peasants wandering along the dirt roads, and obviously then the Mongolians show up and attack. Like its predecessors, Age of Empires 4 will, I'm sure, focus on base building and real-time strategy combat. That's, you know, undoubtedly will be the case. I would imagine you'll be able to control the various units, your knights, footmen, the horse archers if you're playing like the Mongolian factions, and you know, you will have that element of control like you did with every single individual unit like you did in the previous games. What we didn't see though in that trailer was the raw, pure gameplay element of Age of Empires 4. That was obviously a cinematic made to look beautiful for us to watch, so there's no evidence yet of what the UI will look like. But if that is what the graphics are going to be, the animations and the gameplay are going to feel like, then that is extremely promising already. There's also no word on other factions yet. We don't know, as I say, how far the time period is going to stretch, but obviously we can hopefully learn a lot more come this Saturday. And that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I have to give you so far, but that's all we have. There's nothing else to say. I mean, that's literally all we've got information wise about this game to this point. So you now, if you watched to the end of this video, and I appreciate it if you have, are in a position where you know everything about the game. So come Saturday, if you're going to watch a live stream, you're fully prepared for it. If you do miss it, as I said to you at the beginning, do not fear. I will be covering that in a video summarising all the announcements for Age of Empires 4 in a follow-up video, most likely on the channel, probably Sunday, Monday at the very latest, so you can catch up on it there if you do miss out. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed it, hope you've got something out of it, hope you've learned something about the game that you may not have been aware of previously before watching this today. And yeah, all good stuff. But when this game comes out as well, do not fear, I will definitely be playing it on the channel. So when I get my hands on it, whenever that will be, undoubtedly gameplay will be shown to you. I'll probably do some co-op gameplay as well with Lionheart and Alex the Rambler. So whenever that will be, rest assured it will be here for you to enjoy on the channel. And yeah, if any more news is released in the next coming few months, and hopefully not years, but whenever that will be, then rest assured I shall be here to cover it once again. So yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and until next time, take care, farewell.